The story begins with something seemingly simple. Jungkook takes a long break from his public activities. But for those who understand how the industry works, the pause is a signal. When Jungkook is silent, there is usually a big storm he is preparing for. HYBE knew this very well, and that was what made them uneasy. Some internal sources even mentioned that Jungkook's decision to reject some of the collaborative projects the company proffered became a hotspot in the agency's internal discussions. He is said to want to work on something completely personal, a work that is not tied to HYBE's commercial formula. And if you look at the tracks, this step is not a big surprise. Jungkook has long shown independent tendencies. While many other idols follow a well-planned promotional strategy, Jungkook prefers to appear suddenly, without teasers, without announcements, but the impact is always explosive. For example, the release of the song Still With You, which he uploaded secretly without promotion, but immediately penetrated millions of streams in a short time. That's not a coincidence. That's a reflection of the incredible trust capital, a level of public trust that rarely belongs to any artist. Now, the situation is much bigger. Sources from the American media say that Project 2026 is not just an album, but something that combines three big elements: music, fashion, and film. Jungkook is said to be working on collaborations with several independent directors from Hollywood who focus on visual storytelling. The main idea was to create an art experience, a full-length audio-visual work that explores his identity, time, and life transition after the BTS era. Interestingly, despite these rumors, HYBE has not given a single clarification. Usually, they quickly control the narrative. But this time, they chose silence. Suspicious silence. Fans wondered, was it because they knew, or because they really couldn't control Jungkook's direction anymore? We have to be honest, after 2023, Jungkook has already proven that his popularity can stand without the agency's promotional machine. He is not only an idol, but a cultural figure with global influence. Every time he opens live on Weverse, the audience exceeds the concerts of some of the world's great artists. And when he does something as small as replacing a hairstyle, the American fashion media write analysis. HYBE may have the resources, but Jungkook has a social magnetism that even algorithms can't predict. Some entertainment analysts in Korea say that HYBE is starting to realize something. They can no longer fully direct Jungkook. It's not the product it used to be. It is now a brand with its own identity. And when an artist has already reached that point, control becomes impossible. Jungkook is preparing for something that will redefine what a global pop artist can do. From there, the world exploded. Within 24 hours, the hashtag number Jungkook2026 project was trending in 20 countries. Fans began to unravel the clues from every upload, every fashion style, even the choice of emoji he used. Some speculate this project will involve AI-driven art. Others suspect this is a form of musical documentary. But what makes the US media tremble is not what he does, but how he does it. According to leaks circulating, Jungkook is working with a small creative team in Los Angeles, not HYBE's official team. They are reportedly focusing on an art-first approach, where visual and musical decisions are not determined by market potential, but by personal narratives. The concept is similar to art house films, but combined with international scale productions. In other words, it's not just an entertainment project, it's an expression of identity. And the most interesting, Jungkook is said to be the co-director for this project. That means he not only sings, but also determines the visual aesthetics, lighting direction, until the final editing. a move that has never been done by any BTS member independently. Billboard wrote, "This could be Jungkook's equivalent of Michael Jackson's Moonwalker moment where pop becomes cinema." HYBE? Again, silence. But in the world of entertainment, silence is often noisier than clarification. Many believe HYBE is reconsidering how they will communicate about the project because if they misstep, the narrative will be taken over by the American media. And when the American media is already in control of the talks, the Korean agency could lose full control of its artist framing. But Jungkook doesn't seem to care about that political dynamic. He looks relaxed, often caught on camera, practicing in an independent studio without his usual large entourage. That's a strong signal that he's preparing something truly intimate. And this is what fascinated the international media. How a world superstar, at the peak of his popularity, chose, on the contrary, a quiet path full of reflections. Variety wrote, "Jungkook's silence is louder than any press release." And it's true. No teaser, no countdown, but the whole world is gearing up. Jungkook's new direction. Old boundaries shattered. Here's the gist of it all. Jungkook is no longer playing by the rules of the entertainment industry. He's rewriting the rules. When in the past promotion had to be done through an agency, now he uses his personal platform. When artists used to be confined in a certain image, Jungkook actually built a flexible narrative of authenticity. And while many celebrities still rely on viral moments, Jungkook creates natural moments that are organic but always global. This 2026 project, whatever its form, is clearly not just a work of entertainment. This is a manifestation of change, the transition from idol to full-fledged creator, and HYBE, no matter how strong they are, must now learn to live with the fact that Jungkook is no longer a manageable asset. He is a partner to be respected. Perhaps this is what makes the US media so enthusiastic. They are watching an Asian artist take over the global stage with complete control over himself. Not because of corporate strategy, but because of the courage to believe in his own vision. And when that happens, the entertainment world knows control has changed hands. HYBE may try to survive, but the direction of history is clear. 2026 will be the year Jungkook redefines the meaning of an artist's freedom. If you look at Jungkook's movements since the end of 2024, there is an unusual pattern. Each of his appearances feels organic, spontaneous, and full of surprises. From an unexpected visit to Los Angeles during the promotion of Seven, to a mysterious photo shoot in Tokyo for Calvin Klein, which even his agency does not promote in a big way, to his presence at exclusive events, which turned out to be confirmed directly by the brand, not by HYBE. That's not a coincidence. That's a signal. Signals that Jungkook is beginning to navigate his own career. And uniquely, the public actually likes this uncontrolled version of him. Comments on American platforms, such as Reddit Entertainment, X, Twitter, and Billboard forums, show an interesting pattern. People feel Jungkook is more honest, more human, and more unpredictable. In fact, the US media wrote that Jungkook is no longer just a part of BTS, he's a movement on his own. But for HYBE, this situation is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, Jungkook brings invaluable global exposure. But on the other hand, the greater he becomes a symbol of freedom, the more difficult the company controls the direction of the narrative. There were reports that the internal team had been arguing about Calvin Klein's latest campaign, in which Jungkook opted for a more bold artistic approach than the agency's version of the safe concept. But when the results go viral around the world with engagement surpassing all expectations, HYBE can't help but celebrate the success they didn't even plan for. It's ironic, but real. HYBE, who has been known to have a structured system, now looks like he is just following a big stream created by his own artist. And this is where the world begins to see. Jungkook is no longer a product of the industry, but a driver of the industry. It changed the way companies thought about control of global stars. Now the most talked about part. Jungkook's secret project of 2026. The first leaks appear on international fan forums that are usually accurate about the brand's global schedule and collaborations. It is mentioned that Jungkook is preparing a project that is not just music or fashion, but a combination of the two in a format that no Asian artist has done before. Rolling Stone wrote, "If the leaks are true, this could redefine pop marketing." What does that mean? Some analysts call the project a cross-industry collaboration between major American fashion brands and Asian tech companies, with Jungkook as the main face. The goal is not just a campaign, but creating a virtual reality-based immersive experience that allows fans to interact with Jungkook's image digitally, as if he were right in front of them. If this is true, then 2026 will be a new milestone in the world of global digital entertainment. But what caused an uproar was not just the technology, but the fact that the project was rumored to be running outside HYBE's direct control. This means that Jungkook may cooperate directly with international parties through legal channels and independent management. Some sources have even said that this decision was negotiated through a special agreement that gave him full creative rights to the use of his name and image in the project. And herein lies the real tension. HYBE must adjust to a new reality that her brightest star now has more control over the direction of her own career. You know what's the most interesting thing about all this? The American media, which once saw K-pop artists as part of the system, now sees Jungkook as a symbol of freedom in the global entertainment culture. The New York Times wrote, "Jungkook represents a new generation of artists who outgrow their labels," while Variety called his phenomenon a revolution in artist autonomy. But behind that admiration, there is also fear. Because if one artist can be this free, how does the industry maintain its traditional structure? Imagine, if another artist follows in Jungkook's footsteps, a major agency could lose the narrative control that has always been their strength. It's like seeing a paradigm shift in plain sight between institutional power versus individual creativity. But Jungkook didn't do it in a confrontational way. He did it with results, with works, with achievements that make all parties, even those who do not agree with him, must recognize his influence. Every song, every campaign, every step came up with a wide resonance. And that made the American media see him as not just a pop star, but a cultural disruptor. They know when Jungkook does something, the global trend will shift. And now, as 2026 approaches, the world awaits not just what he releases, but how he does it outside the system that has bound him to it. Well, this is where everything gets interesting. Recent leaks appearing on several international fan forums indicate something big is being prepared for 2026. But this is not an ordinary comeback, not just a solo album, and not just a fashion campaign. According to a source close to the American creative industries, the project will combine three worlds at once: music, visuals, and digital interaction. It sounds like futuristic nonsense, but if you look at Jungkook's track record, that kind of makes sense. He was always one step ahead of the system. Some refer to the project as the JJK 360 Degrees Experience, a global concept developed between international music production teams, European fashion houses, and Japanese technology companies. The goal is not just to create content, but to create a living experience. In this project, fans around the world will be able to attend an interactive digital concert where Jungkook performs in real time in a virtual world connected to real-world activities, from fashion shows, music launches, to iconic collaborations. What makes it all the more interesting? All this supposedly goes outside the HYBE structure. This means that this is not an official project of the agency, but the result of Jungkook's personal negotiations with several global partners. HYBE is reportedly just watching from afar without having full rights to his creative concept, and that's incredible. Because in the history of K-pop, there has hardly ever been an artist active under a major label who could have made a move of this magnitude without the company's control. If this news is true, then 2026 will be a year that changes history, not just for Jungkook, but for the entire Asian entertainment industry. Because, for the first time, an artist from the K-pop system will prove that he can organize, create, and control a world-scale project in his own way. When news of this leak began to spread, the American media reacted quickly. Rolling Stone wrote, "Jungkook is reshaping how entertainment power works." Billboard called his move dangerous but revolutionary. Even Forbes highlighted how Jungkook's creative freedom reflects the new direction of the global pop industry, where artists are no longer just owned, but become equal partners for companies. This is interesting, because for the first time, the major American media is not just talking about Jungkook as an idol, but as a cultural leader. Meanwhile, fans around the world began to guess. Will 2026 be your film debut? Or maybe a visual album associated with a major fashion campaign? No one knows for sure. But all agreed, every time Jungkook's name comes up, there's something big behind it. In the midst of all this commotion, HYBE tried to remain calm. They issued a short, diplomatic-sounding statement. "We support all of Jungkook's future activities." But the public knows it's just a subtle way to mask the real tension. Because in an era when artists can create global influence without corporate permission, power has shifted. The world is now witnessing something bigger than just music. We are seeing the birth of a new generation of global artists who can run without a system. Jungkook is a perfect example of that. It doesn't fight its industry, it evolves through it. He did not burn the bridge behind him, but built a new, wider road. And that is why the US media called him the first self-sustaining pop artist from the East. Imagine, from a young man who used to train 4 hours a day in a small studio, he has now turned into a figure capable of simultaneously moving the global fashion, technology, and entertainment industries. From someone who used to be directed by management, now becomes the person who actually directs the company's strategy. And that's HYBE's biggest irony. They created a system to control success. But from that system was born a figure that they could no longer even control. Jungkook has become more than just an artist. He is a symbol of the changing times. The world is changing, and HYBE, like many other big companies, can only watch as its biggest stars go further than they ever imagined. And perhaps, deep in their hearts, HYBE knows one thing. Control can be lost, but history cannot be undone. Jungkook has already written it in his own way.